Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn how to install a 6 kVA UPS. This is the equipment you're going to need. Here you can see the UPS, the top part, and at the bottom you can see the battery. The first thing to do is choose a location for the installation. There must be a space of 25 centimeters both in front of and behind the UPS before the first obstacle. This is to allow air to circulate freely because the UPS will heat up. The UPS can be installed either flat, as you can see here, or on the side. You can actually place it like this, on one side or the other. It doesn't matter. And to stabilize it, we'll use the legs. Look at the instructions to see exactly how it can be installed. In the power supply table, we'll see whether we have room to put a 32 amp to power the UPS and the other 32 amp for the bypass when we want to carry out maintenance on the UPS. It's also good to check that there is room to put the earth wire. We can now move on to the installation, to connecting the UPS. We'll open the cover behind the UPS. Here we have the terminal block. We have the entry point here, and we have the exit on this side, where we'll take our tools for installation and connection. That is, the screwdriver, the crimper for the cable ends, and the stripper. If you ever use flexible cable, you'll need to use the cable end caps. We're going to strip it. We get the cable end and we crimp it. Once that is crimped, we'll also think about putting on the cable gland to hold the cable. There are pre-drilled holes, so we're going to break them. We're going to take them out and we're going to put on the cable gland. If you use a PG29 cable gland, it's too big. So the one we have in the catalogue and that we often find in the field is the PG21. It's a bit too small, but because it's more to stop it tearing and not for waterproofing, we'll tinker with it. To do that, it will have to be tightened a bit. So you get the idea. And there you go. We take the power cable that we've already stripped. The head always goes first. Don't forget, otherwise afterwards you'll find yourself in a spot of bother. First we tighten the earth, then the neutral. There has to be some resistance. That's good. We check that it holds. Take the cable that will run from the UPS to the downstream panel and connect it to the output of the UPS. Note that the UPS has two outputs, a non-priority output and a priority output. We connect to the middle output for critical zone, doing the same thing as we did for the input, starting with the earth, then the neutral, and then live. Before closing the cover completely, we tighten the screws to make sure the contacts are good. So, just a little quarter turn, don't crush them. It's right if you feel some positive resistance. There, that one was missing a bit. We tighten the cable gland to hold the cable when it's pulled on. We take care to ensure that the cable is intact when exiting the cable gland. That's how we know whether it's well sealed. If we can see the wire, it means we've stripped the cable too far back. Now, we've finished connecting the UPS, the input and the output. There's no electrical power just at the moment. We make sure that the UPS circuit breaker is in the off position And we can go to the other side, to the power supply panel, so we can power up the UPS. We'll use a 32 amp circuit breaker, either with a 1-pole plus neutral or with a 2-pole. And we supply power via a 6mm squared cable. Always leave it switched off while making all the connections. On the other side, connecting the output, we'll connect to the distribution board for the critical zone that we want to supply. Critical zones or wards are places like operating theaters or laboratories, it depends. The best practice is to use a changeover switch. In order to be able to switch from direct power supply from the generator or the local power grid to power supply from the UPS. This is so that when I have to do maintenance on the UPS, I can switch to the power grid, disconnect the UPS, bring in another, plug it in, and quickly switch back to an uninterruptible power supply. So, we have the power cable for the UPS from the power supply board. We have the UPS output, which is connected to one side of the changeover switch. We have the power supply for the changeover switch. So that's on the other side of the changeover switch. And then the output from the inverter, which supplies the critical zone circuits, which are represented by this cable here. So now we have all the AC, alternating current parts connected. And so we'll connect the UPS to the battery so that when there is a power cut, the battery is able to take over supplying power. To do this, we'll remove the battery connection covers. So there's one for the UPS, and then for the batteries, you'll see there are two small covers. There's one for the cable that goes from the battery to the UPS, and the other that goes from this battery to another battery pack, if we ever use two or more. And now we have the cable. We'll use this cable that comes with the battery. We have to use small spacers so that it's properly fixed. These spacers and screws to secure the battery, they come with the battery pack. On the other side, before connecting, always check that the battery circuit breaker is turned off, plug in and secure it before the small screws. To finalize the battery connection, we'll earth the battery casing. To do this, there are two screws where you can put the battery casing. One is used to connect it either to the power supply board or to the critical zone distribution board. The other is for other battery packs, if you ever need them. So we tighten it here. Obviously, a small box is used and a 6mm square green and yellow wire which goes to the earth strip for the downstream switchboard or the upstream one. Before commissioning, we'll add the filter. To do this, the front of the UPS must be removed. Give the front panel a hard pull so that it unclips. In this part, we'll add the filters. Note that there is a right filter and a left filter. The difference is here. So, install the filter and keep it in place with those yellow tabs that are used to secure it, and make sure it doesn't fall out. We put in the two filters and we can now close it up again and continue with the installation of the UPS. we put the small screws back in. Now we've finished connecting the UPS, the input, the output, the battery, the earth for the battery. We've installed the filters to protect the equipment. The next step will be to put it into service and configure it. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope to see you again soon.